Suppose you have an array of bills and would like to get the value of those bills, or maybe let's say you would like to get the total of those bills. So how can you achieve that so that from that same array you get the total of that? And with this, let me introduce you to the reduce method that will help us do that and achieve a lot more. So let's quickly jump into that and see what it takes or how to use the reduce method. So first step, I'm going to open up my console right here so that we see everything happening there. So here in my JavaScript, I'll create a const bills because the example I gave was about bills, and I'll say this constant is, this array is full of bills. Let's say it's in dollars. You have $60, $50, $60, 78, 89, 77, 60, 30, 20, and so on. And here we'll say maybe you have a $10, right? And here you're supposed to put a comma like that. Okay, so first step, I'm going to just say console log bills so that we see if this is working in my browser. So I refresh here. Let me give that a refresh. Okay, it's not working. And at this moment, it's not working because I have to put that, I have to call that file in my HTML. So down here, I will just say script source. And this is going to be index.js like this. And here maybe I'll put an h1 just to show that this is my page, right? And I'll say reduce method. Okay, reduce method. This is login.js login. Oh, I made a mistake. That is supposed to be login.js like that. So I refresh. Now we are good to go. Okay, we see our array here. So as I say, the reduce method takes in a function, and what it does something according to that function. So let me say I'll have here a function, and I'll say this maybe, let me say get total. Okay, I'll call this get total, and this is going to be equal to a function, and this function takes in a and b like this, and that function returns. So I can get rid of those, and I'll say this will return a plus b like this. Okay, that's our function. So now I'm going to call the reduce method. Oops, I did a mistake. This is supposed to be a plus b, right? So down here, again, a plus b. Then down here, I'm going now to call my reduce method, and I'll say builds the reduce. So, and here I'm going to point at that get total, right? So here, if I refresh, it should now work. So I refresh here, boom, you get 474. So if I try to add something, and I'll say maybe I'll add 16 right here, you see that value should change, right? So if I refresh, boom, we get 490. Okay, now there is an important keynote to take. Let's suppose this array was empty, right? So let's think, okay, you want to use the reduce function, but your array is empty. And one thing you have to note here, if your array is empty, you can't use the reduce, right? So, because what are you going to reduce? Nothing. Okay, where are you going to apply the reduce method? Nothing. The array is empty. So at this point, you should get an error. So if I refresh here, you see the error. Reduce of empty array with no initial value at array reduce on line 6. Okay, so that the default. So now let's take another scenario where we have an array of letter, right? We have letters here, A, B, C, like this, C, D. But this array has duplicates, right? So let's say we have D here, we have C right here, like this. So we'd like to remove the duplicate from the array. So now this function is going to change, right? So here we'll say get total is going to be AB, and basically this A is the accumulator and this B is the current value, right? Oh, we can just say C to say current value. So this, in the previous example, we had numbers. So after adding these two numbers, that is the accumulator, then the current value in that case will be C, right? So it will be AB plus C, all right? So in this case, we would like to say for that accumulator and that element, first thing we would like to check, right? If index, if, okay, let's say if in this accumulator, in this case, the accumulator is going to be the array, right? So we'll say index of C. And this C, in this case, is going to be the current value. So if index of current value is equal to -1, is equal to -1, like this, we'd like to push that element to the array, right? Like say push C like this. So we push that element to our array. But if, else, this is going to be the else case. And you can leave it like that so that when this value is different from -1, that means you already have that element in the array. We are not going to do anything. So in this case, I'll just say console.log element L already exists, right? Already exists like this. We have to return that accumulator, right? And if we have, and in this case we have two duplicates, so we expect to get this element already exists twice, right? So we refresh that and give it a try. Okay, you should see A, B, C, D, and here element already exists twice, right? That means all the duplicate, this D and C, they have all been removed. And this is how you can basically remove duplicate from arrays using the reduce method, right? And don't forget that you have to return the accumulator at the end. All right. So here, another good example of using the reduce method is removing the nested arrays, all right? So there are some cases where we have arrays in arrays. Okay, so let me create a new array. Oh, okay. Let me transform this array I already have. So I'll say inside of that array we have 3 arrays, right? And I'll say these 3 arrays like this. So as you can see here, we have one big array of bills. Okay, let me change this to letters, all right? Letters. Okay, and here we have one big array and have 3 arrays inside. So basically I would like to get only all these 3 arrays combined into one array, right? So before that, let me quickly log my array in the console so that you see how it looks like at this point. So if I go back to my browser, I refresh here. Okay, they say builds is not defined, and that is true because here we don't. Let me get rid of this line. Here it should work. So I refresh. You see my array. Okay, there is a big array and containing 3 other arrays, and each array has 2 elements. So I don't want those elements to be in nested arrays. I would like them to be in only one array. So to achieve this, I can, let me say letters, and let me just put this in capital. And we are going to try to change this, but still we'll have the accumulator and the current value. And basically for the reduce method, we always have those 2 elements. So here, instead of doing this, I'm going to change and I'll say, what we're going to do, we are going to take the accumulator dot, we have the concat method. So we are going to concat the the current value, right? So we take the accumulator, then we pull all those elements from the current value, we add them to the accumulator. So here, if I comment out this line, and instead of bills, I'll say letters, like this. We'll have to reduce that, and I get rid of this. So at this point, and this is not get total, but this is letters, okay? Letters, like this. So we give this a try, and here, instead of logging letters, I'll log total, like this, okay? So I have to return this, return like this. So if I give it a try, hopefully it's going to work. So I try this out. You see, we get that same array we had previously. So now let me log the two arrays in the console. So I'll say console.log letters, okay? The array we get initially, and here instead of calling this total, I'll call this flatten array, okay? Flatten array, and that's what I'm going to put here. Flatten array. So you'll basically see the difference between this array that has nested arrays and the reduced array where we have get rid of those nested elements. So if I refresh, okay, you see our previous array is this one, and if we expand it, you see we have A, B, C, D, D, C. But after applying the reduce method to remove the nested element, you will get this array containing A, B, C, D, D, C, alright? But we can still use another powerful method, and this is going to be, this is the spread operator. So here, instead of saying this, all I have to do is to say, I want to pull everything from the accumulator, then I pull everything from the current value. So if we give this a try, we refresh, okay, same behavior, right? By the way, this spread operator is an ES6 syntax, okay? So that these three dots says pull everything from this accumulator array, pull all the elements from there and put it in this new array, and pull all the elements from the current value and put them in the same array, right? That's why you saw it's behaving the same as before, all right? So guys, I hope you saw how the array reduce work, and I know this method can be pretty confusing, but apply that to your project and you can rewatch this video to get more and more of it so that you apply it to wherever you want. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.